Hi, I'm Peter Capaldi. I play the Doctor, and you're watching EMS Productions.
Hello everybody, and welcome along to today's video where I'm going to be looking back over the last 3 weeks over this Monk trilogy and see, did it actually work? Did it all really fit together as a full story? And did they actually pull it off? It was certainly a bold idea from Stephen Moffat predominantly, and sort of some of the other writers who were involved in actually writing these episodes, to kind of introduce this mid-series little trilogy, mini-arc, sort of 3 episodes with these monk characters as the head sort of lead villain of each of the 3 stories. It was something that hasn't really been done very much in Doctor Who before, having sort of 3 parts of it. There has been 3 parts before, you look at the end of Series 3 and Series 4, but this was very different to have it mid-series and to kind of have them almost separate but linked episodes, 3 episodes in a row, which kind of held into a full-on arc. It was sort of an interesting idea to go ahead with. But it was always going to be a challenge with having 3 different writers to actually kind of keep it closely knit together and the continuity running throughout it. And I think that's where there were some issues. Now, episode 6, Extremist, the first part, was for me personally a phenomenal episode. The best episode of the series for me so far, certainly. And it obviously had the whole idea of the monks simulating what would happen in an invasion of the Earth, because they've got this power they can able to simulate everything in the world. And then the Doctor gets caught up in this simulation and kind of has to figure out exactly what's going on. And it's just a brilliant kind of building up episode of working out quite what's going on here, that they're actually stuck inside a simulation that the monks have created, and then the Doctor kind of has got to go back to the real world and save the day in this invasion that's yet to come. So this kind of opening part I thought was really, really good, a really kind of clever idea with the simulation that really played out well throughout that episode and felt like it was going to be great setup for the next couple of episodes. There was also, of course, the point of the Doctor being blind through this episode, which had happened at the end of episode 5, then continued throughout this episode until the end of episode 7, the middle part of this trilogy. It was interesting to follow how that played out as well. Clearly it was kind of helpful for the plot, shall we say, in Extremis, in that there was suddenly a book that the Doctor needed to read, but he couldn't because he was blind. It was kind of a little bit convenient, but I'll let them off with that. So overall, as kind of the one-off story, it felt good, it worked, it was enjoyable, it was really clever, and it felt like it was going to be great setup for the next 2 episodes to come. But to be honest, it didn't quite work out that way. So we get into episode 7, the pyramid at the end of the world, where a pyramid has appeared randomly in the middle of sort of Turkmenistan, I think the place was, a kind of fake Middle Eastern country or something like that. And the monks are in it, and the monks are about to take over the world kind of thing. It was all a bit kind of sudden, that suddenly the world was in crisis, the whole world was going to end in a year's time or something, and therefore the monks needed to come and save the day and all this. It was a bit out of the blue, a bit coming out of nowhere. It didn't make any sense why UNIT didn't get involved in this episode either, because surely that was literally Unit 101, but they didn't turn up at all for some reason. And it just felt like there wasn't a lot of links to the previous episode. Kind of the way they'd been built up and the whole kind of invasion style and everything they're trying to understand in Extremis didn't really seem to have any relevance in episode 7, in the pyramid at the end of the world. It sort of felt like there hadn't been enough of a kind of consultation between the 2 writers in bringing these 2 episodes together to really just kind of link it back to Extremis a bit more, and just have references to little things that happen in Extremis which could then just kind of more closely knit both these parts of the story together, where it didn't really feel like that had happened, because it just sort of felt like a completely separate story, just with the same villain in episode 7, which kind of I didn't really feel like that was what they were going for. It just kind of ended up happening like that. But it was a nice piece of sort of setup for episode 8. It was a nice build-up to the whole invasion, although we never actually see the invasion, just Bill initiating the invasion by giving the Doctor's sight back and accepting the monks' help. I mean, that was quite a good idea to kind of have the Doctor get his sight back through that, or that be the problem that he was trying to overcome, was because he wouldn't tell anybody he couldn't see. But then he suddenly got stuck behind a locked door and he couldn't open it. It was quite a clever way to kind of really ruin the Doctor and kind of cause the invasion, essentially, by the Bill giving the Doctor his sight back. Although that is also a problem I have. The Doctor got his sight back and then that was it. It was completely forgotten. In episode 8 there wasn't a single reference to the Doctor not having his eyesight back, not being blind anymore. It was just completely forgotten about, which I thought was bizarre. How it had been such a big factor for the last 2 episodes, from the end of episode 5 through the next 2 episodes, to then suddenly just completely forget about it and disappear. Everything's back to normal, because apparently the monks just had this power to grant the Doctor his eyesight back for some reason, and then yeah, they just completely forgot about it. It was like almost, for episode 8, Toby Whithouse wasn't told the Doctor was ever blind. It was just like, the invasion's happened, you take it from here, do what you like kind of thing. and then Stephen seems to just let him do his thing, and it didn't really fit with the previous 2 episodes. So again, into episode 8, it was a good idea to have the sort of invasion has happened. We're 6 months down the line, the monks are completely taking control of the whole Earth, and the human race think they were always there kind of thing. That was a good way to kind of start off the episode. But then as we went through, it just felt like it was lacking links to previous episodes again. Yes, the invasion had been set up in episode 7, but then it just didn't, it kind of happened, and then that was it. And the big issue I have with the monks is we never learnt anything about them. We never learnt where are they from, how do they get their power, why do they want to invade the Earth. We don't get told anything at all. It's just kind of felt like in episode 6, Stevens thought, oh yeah, it'll be explained later in the 3 parts. Episode 7, they're thinking, oh, one of the other episodes will explain about the monks and why they're all here and everything. And in episode 8, it just feels like, oh yeah, I'm sure they explained in the previous episodes what happened and why the monks are here and what their motives are and all that kind of thing, but it just never happened. We never learn anything about the monks. They kind of, they randomly have the power to create simulations of the whole Earth, and then the Doctor gets caught inside in episode 6, and we learn nothing about them there. Then in episode 7, they suddenly appear on Earth in a massive pyramid because they can, they're that powerful. They take over the Earth for some reason, we don't really know why. And then in episode 8 they just get defeated and leave, and we don't hear anything from them. It just lacking that link and that continuity and that real, we want to know more about these monk creatures. Given they were such a big sort of part of this series, they've taken up 25% of the series, and yet we know nothing about them. It's essentially the issue I have here. So that really was a bit of a frustration, and it kind of felt like as we went through each episode, it was like, surely they're going to tell us about the monks soon, surely they're going to give us an explanation about the monks and who they really are and everything, but they just never gave us anything. And as I've already spoken about in my review of The Lie of the Land, it was a disappointing conclusion as far as I'm concerned. It was just the same old love wins the day, love saves the day, love wins kind of thing. And then the monks just decide, that's it, bye, we're disappearing off somewhere else now. We've been defeated, but oh well, let's go, without saying a word. And off they went. We didn't hear anything from them. It was just sort of an abrupt ending to 3 parts. It felt like after all the build-up of 3 episodes, it just suddenly ended, the monks disappeared, we'll probably never hear from them again. It was just a disappointing end. There were good moments through these 3 parts. Episode 6 overall I really enjoyed. Very little of that I thought wasn't very good. I think overall that works as a story. And then through episode 7 and episode 8 there are good scenes. Sort of in episode 7, the scenes with the Doctor towards the end of the episode when he gets to that sort of research centre. Some of the ones he gives with that woman is just kind of some brilliant lines he plays off there. Some of his dialogue with the monks as well, and those scenes are all really good in episode 7. And again in episode 8, some of the stuff with the Doctor and Bill is fantastic. That scene up until the regeneration point is really good. Relatively good at least in that boat, sort of in that white room. Some of that's really good, and yeah, just there are a lot of good individual scenes in these 3 parts. But overall as a story, it just didn't feel like they'd closely knitted it together enough to really hold up as a full-on story. There was lots of just gaps, things left unexplained, things we don't really know why they happened or why they didn't. It was just, yeah, lots of holes. So did it justify taking up 3 episodes of the series? Probably not. I think this would have worked better as a 2-parter, where maybe the first sort of half-hour of episode 1 was basically Extremis, then, Extremis would be episode 1, the first 30 minutes, then kind of the end of episode 1 plus the start of episode 2 would kind of be how the pyramid at the end of the world is split over, and The Lie of the Land could finish it off, just tighten a bit more, cut out some of the sort of filler points of it and adjust the conclusion so it's something a bit better. Would probably have worked out as a better story. It just didn't feel quite like it needed 3 episodes for this. But they went for it. It was worth a gamble. It was a bit of an experiment, do something a bit different for Stephen's final series, try to keep up the interest mid-series. I don't think it worked. Looking at viewing figures, it didn't work. People didn't kind of buy into the storyline enough to kind of keep their interest through the middle of the series. The classic kind of drop in figures mid-series didn't really help. But it was worth a try from Stephen, and overall I don't hate it. Yes, I've been very negative in this video, but I'll watch these episodes back again and again over the years, and I'm sure I will enjoy them more and more, and I'll always find good things out of it. Just overall, it felt a little bit underwhelming. So there we go guys, do let me know in the comments below what you thought of this Monk trilogy, the story overall, each individual part, what was your favourite part of the story, did you think it worked overall, or do you share some of the same sort of issues with it as I have? Or just anything else you'd like to tell me guys, let me know in the comments below. But there we go guys, so remember to like the video, subscribe if you're new here, and I'll see you again very soon for another video. Goodbye.